Hey guys, and welcome. Now this race is seriously probably the best race I've ever posted to YouTube, so I'd seriously recommend that you stick around for this. I've prepared a highlights reel of what was shown on the broadcast. Watch that, get yourself back into the mood, and then we're going to see you on the other side for my POV, and I'm going to talk you through exactly what went on.
Because we've got a fight between TX3 Lightning up the round the outside of Racers, and Box running a defensive line on the inside, going to block Racers a little bit, maybe enjoying this, but Box up to the lead of this race, getting very squirrely now. Lightning sees his run, pushes down the outside here. He's going to be on the outside of the second hairpin. Box on a defensive line as well, and Lightning could do something special here. Holds back. Racers for now stay. Well, we've seen Racers dominate these matches from the front. We've seen him lead from pole position, disappear up onto the road. This is going to be a different skill, a different Racers, and a different challenge that we need from LZR's top contender. He's going to have to get past one of the hardest defenders in the game.
17. It's a wide, inviting corner, but really there is one better line through there, and Racers not taking it gets passed by Lightning.
Leaned on a little bit by Lightning there under the acceleration phase coming out of the corner. I wonder if Racers will be altogether happy with that move.
Hang back a little bit, Tobin. Just give him some space and then take an inside line through 17. Here he comes.
Racers up the inside, makes his move, and a little bit of sparks flying there on the corner exit. Racers gets on the power, and we're side by side now in the run down that long straight made of concrete over the bumps. Racers pulls wide to take the optimum line into turn one. Will loop back in front of Lightning, who doesn't want to get out of the throttle. Lightning pretty rude there and leaning on LZR Racers. Cannot afford, they need those points, they need it for the championship, and Box wants it up the inside in the first sector. Racers will have the run here though as we head down toward that first hairpin. It's a touch, Box getting a little squirrely, and Racers will not give up track position. Side by side down toward the hairpin, and Racers wants that position from Box. I think he's going to get it here as he rolls off the brakes, leans onto the Red Bull Acura, and still the two are side by side. Shay, these two aren't letting me breathe.
No, and given the direction of the track, this is going to be advantage for Racers.
Now welcome to my world. In the 2017 Acura NSX, I have all the PI for Lazarus. Everything is on my shoulders in terms of getting that win here, and I have none other than Box and Lightning to race up against. So far, actually, in this round, I'd already done 2 races by this point, and I'd already won both of them, and so I was starting pole again, and I was hoping to replicate the same, but as we'll find out, obviously, it's not as smooth running as we would like as we head up into turn 1, and Sebring's quite tricky this with braking zones, so you have to guess quite a lot of them, as Box is now already trying to tap us. He's trying to unsettle us from our rhythm, because basically once we got into our rhythm we were pretty much unstoppable this week, and as you can see, Box is doing absolutely everything with a couple of naughty taps there, and then very much a very, very naughty tap there, but fair enough, like, it wasn't a penalty, so, you know, fair enough, like, it worked, as we now are side by side with Lightning coming up into the hairpin. And my key objective here was to just not lose second as well, because I know I could get Box back, even though he is being very, very aggressive on his defense again. It's absolutely incredible, like, how close it actually is, as now we're going side by side with Lightning into one of the tightest corners on this track. It's so difficult to hold it around the outside though, especially when you make a little bit of a touch with me there. Box is ahead, he's not going too slowly, but he's not going that fast either, so it's pushing me back into Lightning, but we managed finally to settle down into the pack. And let me tell you, watching this back and commentating over it, fair play Ali and Shay, it is so difficult to get all that information on as it happens, like, as well as you do. So I mean, fair play, as Box is now going very, very slowly in this final sector. You can see he's just not quite settled yet, I would say. I feel like Box is currently, he's being worked hard. Now, admittedly, his car does have 5 less PI. That is quite important than Lightning and I, so his car should be a lot worse. I mean, a little bit worse anyway. So he is on the back foot, and that kind of did shine a light on itself throughout the weekend. But this right here is another critical moment, as Lightning did nudge our rear, and basically we've been overtaken now twice due to aggression from our competitors. But no penalties though for Lightning either, like, which is, to be honest, Lightning, that move, like, I understand, like, it was unfortunate. It was genuinely unfortunate. Box's move though, I'm a bit more like annoyed about, because, you know, I'm quite surprised that that was no penalty, but there we go. But the race now is properly settling down. Also, I thought at this point, but really, I knew at this point of the race, we're only on lap 2, I knew I had the pace to win it still, and that's exactly the only thing that I had on my mind as we now come through the tight hairpin once again. Lightning and Box, by the way, if you're not familiar with the Forza scene, so both of these two guys up ahead, world class, they really are. Like, when I was getting into Forza, I watched Lightning as one of the top guys in the game. He was the guy in many ways to beat. It was him and Lage. Box is also just such a well-respected driver, and so I knew what I was up against. If it was this time last year, to be honest, looking at these two guys up ahead, I probably wouldn't even fancy my chances in the slightest. It's only over the last couple, well, only really the last year that I've kind of acquired the confidence and the experience to be able to tackle drivers like this. But yeah, so enough about me. As we come onto the back straight now, Lightning is all over Box, and I knew when I was in this position that I had to prevent Lightning from getting Box, because if he got ahead, he would be able to pull away, I believe, because largely a large part of that is his car. Large part of it is also, you know, he was driving quite well. I'm not saying Box wasn't, but we have managed to make a really nice move, and we're now side by side with Lightning coming through the final corner, as we now Box is up ahead, and I could see that there was an opportunity here to pin Lightning to the inside, and so I kept my car right up against the inside and left it there so that his line was compromised, but Lightning wasn't having any of it, as he basically got off the brake to push us wide. It's so forceful, this racing, but it's really pushing the limits, and this is an example of just what racing at the top level of Forza is like, where it does become ruthless, as Lightning has managed to save his position. Very, very, like, seriously close stuff. It is unbelievable. And considering the fact that this is all for seeding for $250,000 in LA in 2 weeks, it really does become quite personal, as Lightning has managed to get a little tap on Box. I mean, there was no positions lost there, like when I was tapped, but still, like, it's just testament to how on edge the racing is. And I think, as you saw from the broadcast highlights, that was really being portrayed in the broadcast as it was happening and being shown to all of the viewers at the time. As we're, you know, man, we're only on lap 3 here, but it feels like we've done so much racing already, as we're still right on the back of Lightning and Box. Our lap times are way off of the last lap. It's quite hilarious, really, how much the pace has gone down. But it's all this battling that's happening. So we come into this super tight last sector of Sebring. It's really difficult to take it fast and keep it within track limits. I mean, I'll be honest, I was pushing here, like in previous videos, all I've been saying really is, oh, I haven't been pushing or whatever, but really in this, like, I was pushing, like, to keep up with these guys. You had to, like, these guys are no slouch. And as we come into the final corner, Lightning on lap 3 has managed to get up the inside of Box, and he's actually managed to get ahead by the corner exit. And that was pretty bad news for me. I mean, when I saw Lightning get ahead, I knew that I had to get Box now. I didn't have any choice. Like, I had to get him now or it would be too late. And so I utilised the wide line. I'm trying to just try and break him down. But equally, I am wary that Box is the sort of guy to absolutely send it on whoever he's attacking, like he did with me on the first lap. And so I kind of hang back here, and just like that, Box has sent it. He's yeeted it into Lightning. And that has allowed me a potential opportunity, but it got so close here. You do not even want to know how sketchy that was. I nearly got put in the wall. But I've managed to get up the inside of Box, and I knew that this was it. I could get up there in the inside. It's so close. Somehow Box has managed to hold it around the outside of that hairpin. But I've managed to also get a really good exit coming onto this back straight kind of curvy thing, whatever you call it, on Sebring. But coming into this really tight corner, it was super important that I hit this apex, and I did absolutely beautifully. And that was that really. Box was pretty stuffed the moment I got ahead because I knew I had the pace. And now at the end, the midway point of lap 4, this is when the race really is starting to settle down now, because I knew that I had more pace than Box. You could kind of tell that he was lacking on pace by the fact that me and Lightning were able to get past. And now it's turned from a completely mad first half of a race, as we unfortunately did dip over that line. I said, oh, I'm so close there. If I had done that, that could have been really bad. Like, yeah, as I was saying on the last lap, it's so easy to go off the track there and pick up a corner cutting penalty, and I am pushing at this point, and basically I pushed a little bit too hard through that sector to try and gain on Lightning, because I knew that I could, and I knew that I could gain on him here. I have been doing it throughout this week, and we're only 0.7 seconds behind. That's the thing, and our pace is still off, but that's because we've been making moves and stuff, and so this really is an opportunity for me to start gaining on Lightning as we have a bit of a risky first corner, and Box just behind. I'm not sure if you saw that in the bottom left, but Box got a 1 second penalty, and basically when that happened I knew that I no longer had to worry about him, because you know, he's a bit too far back to do any silly moves, and he's also got a 1 second penalty, so I could now afford to push like crazy really to try and get up to Lightning. The problem is that the action at the beginning of the race has filled up such a big proportion of everything that went on that really I've only got 2 laps now to gain on it. They're quite short races, these, and so it's so important to try and gain as fast as you can and make moves as early as you can, because track position is so important, as you'll see in later uploads that I'll make. And yeah, I mean, the other races, by the way, were really good, arguably better than this in terms of my own personal performance, but they weren't quite as exciting, I don't think, as we will find out. But with 3/10 up though, pace, as you can tell, it's done really well. I've already pulled a second to Box. Like, the pace is really good as Lightning is up ahead. I knew, actually, I could see that he wasn't quite attacking that last sector where I got my penalty last lap quite as much as what I was, and I thought it was quite interesting because it was almost like Lightning was doing exactly what I did against him at Silverstone in one of my previous uploads, where he just wasn't attacking quite as much because he didn't want to get those penalties, and we're actually on the offensive and we are reeling him back in ever so slightly. I mean, don't get me wrong, when I take the last corner a bit like that and have to lift on exit, that's not ideal. But all in all though, the pace is really good. It genuinely is pretty good. We've still got about 3 more tenths a lap that we could do as we go so close to the inside line there as well. And Lightning's actually managed to extend. You can see like how ruthless everything is at this level. Like, I've made 2 very minor mistakes, but Lightning has been able to open up the gap to me by about 0.2 of a second, which in normal life would not even be noticeable. But in Forza, 0.2 of a second when you're trying to chase down TX3 Lightning is quite a lot, to be fair. You would do a lot to gain 0.2 of a second. But we are now getting the pace really on. We're still setting good sector 1s. And Lightning we are starting to reel him back in now. You can see the gap it was at 1.1 seconds at the beginning of this lap, now it's at 0.9. The precision is mental. Had quite a good bit of, I felt that I had a bit of an advantage actually in the gears I was picking. Like, I noticed that Lightning and Box would always use 3rd through this corner here, but 4th is definitely the way to go, let's put it that way. I was quite glad when they didn't realise that they could have gone a bit faster, I think, if they were short shifting. But again, like, it was only such a small margin that you can get away without doing it. But I just found that for me personally, I felt more comfortable using a gear higher than what they were using most of the time. And yeah, so the gap is still a second. We have 1 lap to go, but I knew that Lightning would have to settle back. He genuinely can't afford to push now, because I'm still within that striking distance where if he makes one mistake and he gets over a second's worth of penalty, he will lose, without a doubt. And so I knew that I had nothing to lose because I was out of penalty distance to the box, so I just absolutely sent it on this lap. So we'll kind of have a look at how the lines are, how perfect the lap is. Hopefully it's pretty good. I can't remember exactly how perfect the last lap was, but I do remember when I did it, I thought, you know, I couldn't have given it any more than I did. As we now come, this is a really tricky corner. You can see a little tap of the handbrake there. Don't kill me, but I did really utilise the handbrake this week. That was another thing that I did more of than Lightning, I think, and bots. And it just helped with rotation. I think a little tap there as well in that hairpin, and we have gained on Lightning. So it's all the way down to 0.8 seconds now, 0.2 up. So Lightning is still running at the pace we've been doing, but we've just really stepped up a notch. So we're now doing nice heel and toe with my fingers on the controller, on the downshift, short shift up to 5th, and then it's flat out through here. You have to really commit to try and gain as much time as you can on the curb, and then just catching it, braking immediately. There's no time to waste. We did lose a little bit of time there though, admittedly. We lost about a 1/10.5. So if we had managed to take that sector and retain the gap, then we'd actually be within 0.6 seconds of Lightning. Now coming through here, just send it. I mean, I've got no choice now but to just completely send it. Lightning's still not got any penalties. Until now, he definitely went wide. And when I saw he went wide then, on the exit, I thought that he might have actually gotten a big penalty, because sometimes you do get big penalties for running over that curve. So Lightning nearly threw it away with about a corner to go, but there we go. The gap is now down to 0.6 seconds. He's got a ½ second penalty, so I'm actually only about 4 tenths behind him at this stage as we cross the line to take P2. It was the first time I haven't won a race in the last 2 rounds we've done, actually. So it was a bit of, I was quite annoyed not to have won, because if I had, that would have made myself a person with the most wins at the tournament, which would have been quite a flex. But yeah, look, I do seriously appreciate you watching, and I am genuinely looking forward to seeing you next time. I'll be posting my other 2 races ASAP, but for now I wish you all the best, and if you enjoyed, a like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think. Honestly, I do appreciate it all. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.